kind of between public and government, and then there's a lot of private ones. But even the private universities are not on the same level as government universities. Like in terms of what job are you going to do with university studies?
Okay. Yeah.
So like even though it's a program and it's being offered to them, being from Ghana and living here, I wouldn't offer university studies to someone in Ghana because it's not really going to be useful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they could get other jobs because they have degrees. They have companies who hire and they just don't care about what degree you have. So long as you have a degree, they will take you. And so that could be the argument that you would have companies who will take them. But then you throw these people into going to seek for those jobs, because one thing I feel like will sell is advertising. Like if there is a job on advertising, I know that when I finish school, I could start an agency because I have an idea, and there are agencies that would employ people to work for them because there are businesses who want to be known. There are new businesses coming up, and so what the field to look at is how do we promote these businesses.
Yeah.
And so it's more like hands-on, relatable job than just university studies. Like I don't know what someone would do with university, even here in
Makes
America.
sense. Yeah.
I don't know what
that.
someone would do with university studies. It's like I don't have anything to do. I just want to study something.
Yeah.
So I feel like and I do understand that it will take time for them to get to that point where there'll be that balance. But I feel like there's a long way to go.
So what is your, what has been your journey to get to BYU Idaho? Like what happened? How did that work? Have you been a convert? Are you a convert or?
No, I was born in the church.
You were born in the church?
My dad joined the church. He went to school in Germany to study architecture, and then he met a missionary there, got baptized, and then we joined the church too. I don't know if any of you have had this experience, but there are days when I want to wake up because I feel like I'm still dreaming.
Okay.
I've been here for almost 4 years, but there are some days when something happens and I just like wake up because this is not happening. Like it's so true. It's too good to be true.
Yeah.
I'm not from a rich home. I wouldn't call my parents rich, but I would say if I was, my parents would be middle class, maybe second in the middle class. They're not like top middle, but second in the middle class. But what's made it possible is that my dad knows how to save, and he knows the value of education. So the money is not there, but he knows how to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it pays to be good. That's also another reason why I'm here. It's when you're kind, good things come to you when you're kind to people. I met a missionary. I was a teacher in MTC in Ghana. And there's a missionary who came from Rexburg. Well, I didn't know where he was from, but I knew afterward that he's from Rexburg. He cried the whole time. He's like 6'2". I'm 5'10". And he cried the whole time, so I always have to console him every day. He wanted to come home. He's like, I don't want to stay. So I spoke to him every day. It's like, dude, just stay one more day. You can leave tomorrow. And then the next day, it was like, just stay today. You can leave tomorrow. And then he stayed for the 19 days. And he and I talked about BYU because I knew he was from Idaho. So we talked about BYU. And he left, but I stayed in touch with him because I didn't want him to go home. So I wrote to him, and I was not supposed to. We're not. It's not like written, but they want us to just let them go and be on their own. But I wrote to him, which there was no law against it, so I didn't care. But I wrote to him. So it was my sister who always wanted to come to BYU. She wants to go to Provo, not BYU Idaho. And she had the forms and everything at home, but she didn't fill them, and she always talked about it. So I woke up one day and I just felt like I want to do it. And so I spoke to my dad about it, and then he said, what do you know about? And my dad always wants to know that you've done your research about something. So I told him what I have done. Like I spoke to this missionary, and this is what he told me about all that. So it's like, well, find out what it's cost and what we can do. So I found the cost and everything. it was about 15,000 just to like take off. This is not including tuition or anything. And so I spoke to him, and then I was working at the time, so I had some money, and I don't know how he made it possible, but it happened. And then I wrote to the missionary that I was going to go to BYU. And so he gave me his dad's information. And that was when he told me he was from Rexburg and his dad is a professor here. So, and he's the only missionary I ever befriended. Like, of all the missionaries that were in the MTC, he was the only missionary that, like, I wrote to when he left. And I didn't even write to him with anything in mind. It was just like, I want to write to this boy. So his dad called me the next day. Yeah, and I didn't even know what to say because I didn't know him. And so he asked me what I wanted him to do for me. I didn't know what to say because one thing I grew up not doing is to beg or ask for anything. And I didn't want to come off as... I don't want someone to feel sorry for me and to give me money because they think I'm from Africa and I don't have money. And so I didn't know what to tell him. I was like, well, pray for me. That was what I said. So when he sent me an email and talked about housing and everything, I was going to stay in the dorms, but he was like, no, you need more experience than staying in the dorms. So he found housing for me. So my first place was Sunrise and paid for it. Yeah. And he didn't even know what I looked like. I didn't know what he looked like. So he paid, and then he picked me up at the airport when I arrived from Salt Lake. And then we came, and they've been like the family that I have in America. I spend Christmas with them, and I go everywhere with them. And they've been a big support, like, when it comes to my education. They have played a big role in my education. And then I work on campus too, and my parents help, so it's like, I don't know how it happens, but it happens. And so that's how I ended up here.
Wow.
So I would say I'm just one lucky person.
Yeah.
It's not.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What does your dad do, if you don't mind me asking?
My dad is an architect, but he's more into like investment, and he's smart with money. So even though he's not making a lot of money, he's very smart with money. And my mom designs clothing, so she's more someone. Okay, there's a name brand, and she sews for the name brand, and they pay her to sew for them. So, and this is how it happened. My dad worked for a guy whose wife was a designer, but she only had the money. She didn't know how to design. But she had a clothing label and everything, and she didn't know how to do anything. And so my dad spoke to my mom about it, and my mom was like, well, and she pays well. So my mom would design with her label. And she doesn't care about it so long as she makes her money. She's fine with it. But she doesn't, both of them are retired now. But she only sews for us. So she would make me pants or something.
Really? So like did a lot of your clothes come from your mother making, or did you buy stuff?
Well, she made some of them. When I was young, she made me stuff, but when I grew up, I didn't want to wear anything she made anymore because it's mom. Like, even if it's nice, it's still mom. Yeah. So, but I have some things that she made, and I wear them sometimes. So.
Yeah. Okay.
I got you. Same thing here with us.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing.
Yeah. One sister?
Yeah, I have one sister and two brothers.
Oh, and two brothers as well.
Yeah.
And where do you fall in that?
I'm the third. I have a brother, a sister, myself, and then a brother.
And what are they all doing right now?
And my brother, he doesn't have one job. He works everywhere and does anything and everything. Okay. But his main field is interior designing.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, that's what he does. But you call him today and it's like, well, I have this job. He's never out of job, though. Like, he always has something doing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so he is more like, okay, this is opportunity, let's take it.
Yeah.
So that's why I talk about having hands-on something so people can do like interior design is something they can show
Yep.
and not tell. And my sister is an accountant. She works at Fidelity Bank. Yeah, she works but it's in Ghana. So yeah. And my brother is in the university, but he will be going on his mission anytime soon. I don't know when, but
He has his
I
papers
don't.
in?
No one wants to force him.
Yeah.
We want him to make the decision himself. He's 20 now, but he's thinking of finishing the university before he goes on his mission.
And he's going in Accra.
Yeah, he's in Accra.
And is that the University of?
The University of Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So, I guess I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I just have one more question. So, how many young single adults are in your stake at home?
On record, there is more. There would probably be maybe, I would guess, that's when I was there, I would guess maybe about 500
Yeah.
plus. But you would have, I would say, close to, and sometimes I would say it depends on the activity. But you can have close like 200 people at an activity.
Okay.
So they're single adults.
And so, do most of them have most of them received formal education?
Yeah, like almost everyone, junior high school level, at least everyone has
Everyone's
got to
done
like a
that.
junior high school level.
Okay.
And I would say for the most part, people in the church get education. Like, even if they were not doing it, as soon as they become members, they see the need to go back to school or do something. So
Yeah.
for the most part, I'd say most everyone, or most of them that I know, have gotten to like high school or in some kind of tertiary institution.
Okay. Cool. And then most of them. Sorry, these are very specific questions, but hopefully you can answer them as best as your ability. But like, with the education they've received and them being in the church, are they still struggling to find jobs? Or they?
Well, most of the girls don't work because it's not culturally
Acceptable?
as well. Not that it's not acceptable. No one does it culturally. Like a woman has to stay at home.
Oh, really?
Like that's where she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So most of them don't work. And this is where it becomes kind of difficult, is because the guy is the only person working. So even if it's a good job, it's still gonna be a stretch because he's the only person that's working. Most women have babies as soon as they get married.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing like, okay, we're going to wait for 5 years.
Never.
The reason why you're getting married is because you're ready. You're an
Yeah.
adult, so you do what adults do. You have children right away, and so most of them do not work. And when they do, it's always jobs that would be at home. Like they don't go. So they'll probably have like a small shop or something not far from home that they can go to, close whenever they want to. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Can I ask you,
Yeah.
how do most people find a job over there, like anywhere?
Well, with me, most of the jobs I've had is always based on someone I knew. If you know someone, your chances of getting a job is great. And sometimes you have to be persistent. Like you have to go and like talk to people but more of what I see is people can start their own businesses instead of expecting someone to do it. It's not a very saturated place with businesses and services. So I feel like if someone is innovative and starts something, your chances, if well managed, the chances of making it big is there if they can do their own thing. Like, I think someone will do well if they start something with public relations, like an agency, and they're well trained in it, because I cannot think of any known and good one. Like maybe there'll be like 2 or 3 known ones. Advertising could do well. interior designing. More Ghana is more of like, what can you show me? So sometimes when I look back, I just like I cannot even tell anyone what I do because I'm PR. Like, how do you show someone PR? You cannot show it. We're more like, this is what I can do. I know how to do this, and you show someone, and they see your work and they take you because they've seen what you've done. But the only advantage I have is if someone knows I schooled abroad, it's the advantage I have. So even though I cannot show, I can tell, and they can see that I went to school abroad. So that's like the only advantage I have.
And that means a lot, right?
Oh, that means a lot. Like, the school you went to determines the job you get. So, like, if you went to the University of Ghana and someone went to the University of Cape Coast, they are all the same schools, government owned, but the University of Ghana students have preference over the University of Cape Coast because it's the University of Ghana.
Really? Yeah.
So, and then if you went to school abroad, then you have an advantage over someone who went to the University of Cape Coast and University of Ghana.
Interesting.
Because they feel like you've been exposed.
Yeah.
Like going abroad, and they want that experience in their
Because they
businesses.
want to mimic the Western society.
Yeah.
Right? Is that sort of what it is?
Which
or-
is what it is, and sometimes I feel like that is our downfall.
Yeah.
Is that most of us are not being original enough, and we're not copying very well. Like, people will do well if they stick to what's best for them. Like, I wish a lot of people would go into agriculture and other areas of farming, but not many people do. Everyone wants to do service jobs and wear a tie and a suit, and then they forget that there are other businesses and things that they can be involved in. So that's the thing. And then if you introduce a course and the program is also more Western, then it's like, okay, well, university studies is the new program, but it's not.
But it's completely
No,
useless.
I don't know. So, and so you can say you have maybe 500 people graduate from the program, which is a success. But then the aftermath, there is not really anything to show that they had jobs. And one thing that I wish that they would also do is to do more of the expedition the way it's done here, so that people would know that there's training, this kind of training going on, and then they can meet, like, network and meet people in the companies there. It would be very much easier for the church to do, because if they set that up and say, well, this is a university in America, and we want to come visit your company and see the positions you have, and bring our students, and they're all like professionally dressed, just like we do here, people would know about them and hire them. Mm-hmm. And I'm very certain there are companies who would say we will only hire people from there because they know the training. Exactly. And they know it's real. It's not like someone, because there are a lot of online programs. There are people in Ghana who are studying in online classes in America.
Yeah.
But if they know that this is a class that's real, they like hands-on here in Ghana, they would trust them.
Yeah.
And even though people do not like the church, they know that everything the church does is very good. Yeah. It's like the excellent quality. So I wish that they would do something like that and understand the culture very well and the people. So yeah, that's just my view on how the pathway will be successful. It is doing well for something that's just beginning. It's doing well.
Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
For your time.